so many film and television projects that are produced on native land, and even those without like especially evil intentions largely wind up taking far more than sharing and contributing and, you know, being a part of. Hollywood and Native representation in the last 120 years is filled with more tragedies of missed opportunities and outright exploitation when it comes to Native stories. And so, like, baked into the original idea of Apache Leap was an absolute commitment to avoid the mistakes that even well-intentioned, but you know, like not mindful producers have made over all of these many decades. And what that means is building it from the ground up completely, rooted in the community, and to make sure that the people in front of the camera, as well as behind the camera, are members of that community. So that's the essence and the spirit of the Native Art Film Academy. Graduates of this training module, which we're going to get into very deeply in the panel. The final day of the training module involved the signing of contracts to join the crew of this feature film. And I believe every department, from camera to audio, production design, and on the producer squad. So part of our goal today is to really explore, like, for the people who are responsible for like making that happen and who were part of this experience in the most intimate of ways, what the impact of it was, and what others might be able to learn from it. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and invite people to start sharing who they are. So I'd love to start with Selena, if you wouldn't mind sharing your name and your role, both in the Academy and in the Apache Leap production.
Thanks for inviting me in, Christian, again. It's a pleasure to be here and to see everybody from the Film Academy once again. My name is Selena Curley. I'm Apache Navajo. I live here on the San Carlos Apache Reservation in Arizona. I met Christian back in March, a couple of years ago. And, you know, it's been so jumbled since pandemic, the months and the days and all that. But I became part of the Film Academy after speaking with Christian, and I remember him saying that it was his dream to put Apache people in the front and the back of the film. We discussed the film a little bit, and that a lot of it was going to be filmed here on the reservation here, and he was going to try to get as many local people on the film. And one of the things that he discussed was creating a film academy where we could reach out to young people on the reservation and see if anyone was interested in becoming a part of the film crew, the production crew, And so we started from there, and that's brought us to this moment right here.
That's beautiful. Carrie, do you want to go next?
Dagote she carry sage curly gonze she kaitets eden shamos in a curly gonze perat you gonshli. Hello everyone, my name is Carrie Curley, and I am Apache and Dene, and I played the second lead to this film, the Apache Leap, and also set designer and producer. And with all those roles, you know, it was pretty intense. I didn't know what I was signing up for, but yeah, I'm honored to be a part of this movie and to work with just an amazing crew and team of young people in my community. What more could you ask for pushing young people in your community to open greater doors for the people here and the young kids to know their self-worth, and, you know, just chiseling at yourself is a whole life experience, you know, putting yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable and to see yourself grow, but having people to do that with you, you know, that's awesome support right there. So Ahia Christian for having me here, and looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say, and I'm grateful to see everyone, even if it's through Zoom.
Allie, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Allie Fredericks, for those who don't know. I got involved with this, with Apache Leap, because I was actually really familiar with the San Carlos Reservation just from being out there with Oak Flat for a few years before Apache Leap. And that's how I knew Cece and I knew Selena. And at one Oak Flat event, I had just in passing mentioned to Selena that I was now working in film production over here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she's like, you know what? I think I have someone that I need to introduce you to. And that's how I met Christian. And he told me about the Film Academy and asked me if I would be the instructor for it, which, talk about being an honor. I was so excited and very honored to be the instructor for that, and to share the little bit of knowledge and experience that I had in production, at least try my best with a great class, a great group of people. And yeah, it was one of those things I don't think any of us fully knew what we were getting into. It was really fun in the classroom and trying to learn as much as you can about film production in that short amount of time. And then that actual experience of making the film right after, I feel like that was a bonding experience for all of us. So years after, I know I have such a big place in my heart for that entire production and every crew member. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Stephanie.
Hi, y'all. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Stephanie, and I am a Phoenix-based cinematographer and producer. And I, just echo the sentiments that it was such an honor to work on Apache Leap. I was the unit production manager, which means that I dealt with a lot of the logistics. And what an interesting project to work on logistics for, because I think the question that Apache Leap was asking was really, how do you decolonize a film set? And I think one thing as UPM that I thought through was how that's not really a light switch kind of moment of going from colonize to decolonize. It's really a process that happens through a series of decisions, and sometimes a series of hard decisions that Christian, the director, had to make, or actors had to make. And it was beautiful to be able to to witness that experience. And I think seeing, you know, the growth of everyone in Apache Leap has just stuck with me and informed how I work now on every film set. So thank you.
That's so awesome. I'm really moved by that, Stephanie. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Rebecca, good to see you.
Hello, it's so nice to see everybody again. This is really cool. My name is Rebecca Miles. I was the second assistant camera on this film. I attended the Film Academy, which was an amazing experience. Like, I learned so much and was actually like able to retain the information. And I've worked with 2 other film crews since then. So it was like a life-changing experience.
That's incredible. And we definitely need to circle back to that and hear a bit more about your other production experiences after Apache Leap. That's so awesome. Yeah. And Chris, welcome. I think you're still on mute, my friend.
Can you hear me now? My name is Chris Mcintosh, and my position was a lightning grip, and it's been an amazing journey throughout the training module. And Christian, Doug Jr., Senior, and Selena gave me an opportunity to do something and give me, and each instructor gave me their knowledge and their skills. It was interesting being a part of this outcoming movie, Apache Leap.
Absolutely, man. And thank you, Chris. You know, there's so much humility going on, which is beautiful because that's who you are, all of you. You know, just to brag on Chris for a minute, as well as Rebecca. My God, the Apache Leap production crew was, in the grand scheme of things, really small, really intimate. You know, I think what we produced usually takes somewhere around 60 to 70 people to make. And we did it with a much smaller group of like incredibly dedicated people. And so Chris was in the lighting and grip department, which was very small. There was maybe 5 people in that entire department. And Chris, had you ever been on a film set before that? I think you're on mute again, my friend.
This will be my first film set ever.
Yeah, I thought so. And that's really intimidating because, you know, we're not talking about a student movie and things like, a learning thing. This was like a full hardcore 12-hour a day feature film set. It's a huge amount of pressure and all of that stuff. You know, by the second day, the head of the lighting department was like bragging about you to everybody on set. I mean, because he knew that in you, he found somebody he could absolutely rely on. And the fact that this was your first set, like that just doesn't happen, you know. It was amazing. It was amazing. And absolutely the same is true for Rebecca. I mean, our cinematographer, David Orr, would very much have wanted to be with us tonight. He's on a shoot right now. He sends his love, but he wanted me to absolutely reiterate just how special Rebecca was to the incredibly tiny, incredibly efficient camera department that was just like, you know, a Swiss watch, and how in just about no time, Rebecca was just like fully in the mix, swapping lenses and like, you know, just handling this really complicated, really high pressure, really intense show. He wanted me to share an anecdote as well, but I'll do that in a little while. So I have a question I wanted to open up to all of you. It's a general question, like, why is it important for stories to be told with community involved? You know, I said that's what Apache Leap was like rooted in, but I'd love to hear from y'all about like why you think that matters.
I think one of the things that's really important, and I remember, Christian, when we first were talking, we were talking about a film that's going to be made that shows the current life of the Native American people. And I remember this quote you and I would say to one another, and it was, "There's more to Geronimo's story. It's not just about Geronimo." I mean, everybody in Hollywood, you know, if they want to make a film about Native American, one of the top three is probably going to be, I need to make a movie about Geronimo. Well, there's more to the Geronimo story and the Apache people's culture and life than that. And we've come a long way. And it was important for us to share that with anyone that's going to watch the film, and people that are not even going to watch the film. It's important because people need to know that culturally we're still here and we are still part of America. And indigenous people, POC, you know, people of color, we are part of America. We are part of the world, and our story needs to be told, and it needs to be told by us, because no one can tell you the story greater and more truer and more with more realism than the persons themselves. So that's why I think this was really important, and especially to get the crew behind also. It was so amazing. And like, I did want to mention when Christian was talking about how Rebecca was, you know, holding the lenses and putting them in, but the first day of filming, myself being the manager of the film academy, it was like I was sending out my babies. Like, my babies are going out now, let's see what they can do. And I know Allie felt the same way. Let's see, you know, let's hope that they learned, and by golly, they did. They showed who they were. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, I just want to, you know, it's so important for us as indigenous people, and there, for our stories to be told. It's just as important as myself, you know, sitting among the elders, farming in the community. And, you know, Twyla says it's like getting an old dusty book, you know, like you take this squash and you give it to an elder, and immediately you're hit with stories of how their grandmother, how their mother cooked it, their great grandma.
Okay, they're okay. Carry on. Now I got you, Connie. I was in the break room, but now I see you.
But it's so important in that way of carrying that that knowledge of whatever it be, to a squash, to our stories, to even our traditional songs. You know, with the late Chesley, who was on film with us, this is his last film that he did. He's no longer, you know, here on this earth, but I know he's made his journey home. And I'm really grateful to, you know, even seeing him, you know, at Oak Flat singing our Holy Ground songs. I wish I would have, it makes me just cherish that more. And I wish I would have spoke to him a little bit more, but I'm grateful for the times that, you know, shared singing his songs and his violin and his stories with us. And his laughter, his smile was just so impacting. And I'm really grateful for this Film Academy, for, you know, the film, The Apache Leap, for carrying his legacy and his honor as an elder here in the community for the Apache people. It's very important that, you know, like with Shamal was saying, Christian was saying, you know, Becca and the film, holding the camera, to Ali, to, you know, Chris, to all of us, Stephanie, to all of us, making this picture right, making it so beautiful and elegant as we are. It kind of sets us like having pride for ourselves as Inet people and getting this story right of, you know, like decolonization or being colonized. You know, people put us in a frame of, well, Native Americans all live in a teepee, but, you know, that's false too. You know, some people still today don't even think we have internet or TV. Just understanding the struggles of our culture and our community and how we can all relate as a human race. It's very important for all people of all colors and all races to have their story told, no matter how small or how big. So I'm just grateful for that we got to tell our story.
Hey, can I go? I've been thinking about this a lot, and how, Christian, you had mentioned this before about how representation matters so much. And I think in film, obviously the first thing we think about is visually who we see, the actor, actress who represents the community you come from. But through this Film Academy and through this through Apache Leap, really understanding the importance of the representation behind the camera, of how much that actually brings to a production, to that story. It brings so much more meaning and significance in a depth that you couldn't get from an outsider doing this on his own. Like things from, I'm listed as the art director on this film, but really Carrie, like Carrie and Jamelia and Selena and everyone who lives in that community, like that's not how we would decorate that, or like, you know, that's not how our houses would look. You know, I wouldn't know that. It has to be from the community to bring that authenticity. And I think there's a lot of power of, even with wardrobe, of being able to having someone from the community pick the wardrobe to represent other Native brands. You know, we highlight Native artists through Native wardrobe, through art design, we highlighted another Native artist, you know, so community can uplift one another when they're the whole ones telling the story and creating the design and the production. It's telling a story that if no one else sees it, you know, the community, you see yourself, you see your representation in so many aspects that you may never, that you would never if an outsider tried to recreate their imagery, you know. So I love those little nuanced things, and things like seeing reservation dogs, how popular it was, and just you can tell that was created by Indigenous people for Indigenous people, you know, and I really love that sort of thing. So yeah, the representation behind the camera is something that's really struck me through this whole journey of how important that is.
Absolutely. That's, yeah, that's beautifully put, everybody. Does anybody else want to weigh in on that question about like why community involvement matters. Right on. Okay.
Can
Oh,
say
I'm
something?
sorry. Yeah, of course, of course.
So there's this quote that my dad always says, and he says, representation matters, but good representation matters more. So that's all I keep thinking about. And going off of what Selena said, like we're more than Geronimo, and we're more than like the poverty porn that people like to show, you know? Like it's always the same thing that's like not even the truth. And it's really cool that we were all able to like come together and create something that we think is like authentic. And I just want to like give a huge shout out to like Allie for teaching me a lot of stuff, and Austin and David. It was awesome learning from everybody.
I'm so proud of you, Rebecca. I love hearing that. I love hearing that you've been working, and Chris, that you've been working. I'm so proud of you guys. And yeah, man, I couldn't be happier.
I'm curious about this question. Do you think Apache Leap would have been different if the Film Academy didn't exist, or like wasn't a part of it? If outside crew came in from Phoenix and Tucson, non-native people only, and worked on the film, like what showed up on the screen at the end of it be different than what we have, and how?
We've had film crews come in and shoot a few films here in San Carlos, and nobody knew about it. Locals didn't know about it. No one was told that there was going to be a film here. So immediately what happens is they come on to native lands, and they bring their own crew. They bring their own actors. They came in for a couple of days, they shoot, and they're gone. And later on, people find out that there was a film crew here. So one of the things, of course, is that with the Film Academy here, the announcement was made locally that there was going to be a Film Academy, that we were going to be training young people to work on a film. Selection was made based on the community members that are here, the young people that show any kind of interest in the arts. They came in, they applied, they were there. I mean, it was a 1 week crash course in production, and they were all local. We started casting for the film, and it was all local. So had the Film Academy not been here, and had it not been, looking locally for actors and actors for the film, it would have been a totally different film. And like Ali was saying, I mean, even set production, the sets would have looked completely different. Because I think that a lot of films that are about the Native American people, I imagine that they probably watch other films first of Native American people, and then they kind of like, okay, so this is what we got to do. This is how their houses have to look. This is kind of how their life is. And so straight across the board, everybody kind of looks the same. The sets look all kind of the same, without really looking into the community, and what is the community like? What do the homes look like? What do the streets look like? What are the stores that they go to? What do they look like? I mean, they really don't care. But with an inside film production crew and actors, you get all that feedback into the film, and then it becomes about people, and it becomes about the community that is there. And I really appreciate Christian taking the time and the love for the film and the people to include that in the film and not say, well, you know what, that's not important. None of it was not important. Everything became important in this film. And it was important to show the people, you know, who they really are, and this reservation, how we really are. And we're just like everybody else in so many ways. And I think that's one of the things that's important about this film too, is to show that, you know, hey, we're just like you. So that's pretty important.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Selena. We got our first newspaper film review last week, courtesy of Portland Mercury, which is really cool. That was really fun to like read about us, you know, written by someone who has nothing to do with us, which was super cool. But one thing that stood out to me in that review was, you know, the reviewer said something to the effect of, this is a story that's really specific in its cultural detail and grounded in the community, and the themes, the struggles, and the journey that the characters are going through are totally universal. And that was our goal as far as what showed up on the screen, for sure. Was to just tell a story about a family and a community going through similar things that you know, you could find parallels to all over the planet, but to do so in a, you know, in a San Carlos way. Yeah, yeah. Anybody else have thoughts about how the movie itself would have been different if the Film Academy hadn't been a part of it?
I feel like there are so many ways it would have been different if like none of us were involved with like the filmmaking of it and being like behind the camera and behind like everything that Selena was touching on, and like also like the way that we all like knew each other and come from the same community, and like we had this certain like closeness and like comfortability with each other, and like some of us knew each other already, and so like having been able to like work with people you're familiar with gives you like a certain level of comfort, especially like for the actors. Like we kind of all knew each other already, and like I think it gave people like space and room to actually like get into what they were doing and like feel like this is okay, you know, like I can do this because I know these people are like behind me, you know. So I think that there's so much that would have been different if it was like especially if it was like all non-natives making the film, you know. I can go on about all the different things could have been, but I'm really glad that it came out the way it did, and I'm really proud of everybody.
I can add one thing too, really quick, that I think having the folks who came up in the Film Academy was transformative for the rest of the crew who came from the outside also, because all of a sudden, and you know, I think film sets in general, they can be competitive places, right? And I think all of a sudden you have these guys who are used to being, head of their departments, who are all of a sudden accountable to a bunch of youth who it's their first time doing this thing. And I think that makes them pause in their work and really reconsider how they're doing a work in a way that is bringing everyone into the process, and making it a fun place, a friendly place for learning, just kind of softening it all up in that way. So yeah, I think that it radically transforms, everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of, does anybody have any memories or moments from either the Film Academy or the production that really meant a lot to you and that you still carry with you?
So I have one quick memory, like a specific memory from the Film Academy. And it was like of when I first took the lens cover off of the red camera. And like, I knew that's like what I wanted to do right after I did that. And that one's like the one that sticks in my mind right now.
I think it was a lot of little moments, and it was kind of like each of the moment I could see everyone who went through the Film Academy like really fit into their roles or like step into their roles. Like with Rebecca, it was so very clear that you felt comfortable with that camera and you fit right in there. And like, I remember one of the scenes in the house, you were right there changing lenses, you changing, I think you had a spare battery ready like before they even asked, so like you were there. And Chris, I remember Jordan just being like, this guy just organized my entire van. Like he is the best I've ever seen, like you found your match. And, like I remember Jamelia had a moment where she stepped in and she corrected some of the art things when, she stepped into her role. And Cece, dang, like just everything you did pretty much, of wearing all the hats and pulling it off, and Selena as well for being script supervisor, which is a big role. And you finding that and you correcting things and making sure that we stay with continuity. So I think it's a bunch of little moments, but having those little memories where each student through the Film Academy like found their pace, they found their rhythm within the production was kind of one of those nice teacher moments that they talk about. So
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was the very first scene that we shot. Was it with the Chevy car from Inside? That was like the first scene, right? And I remember all the Film Academy folks were just terrified and a little bit frozen. I needed to come in to do stuff, but was kind of hanging around the circle. And there was just a moment where people were like, is this gonna work? Is it gonna work? But then after that, the first day jitters were gone and everyone just flew. Yeah, it was incredible to see the progress.
Talk about like being thrown into the fire, right? The first shot of the first scene on the first day. Yeah, I remember that vividly too. Yeah, it's this moment. I felt it as a director. I felt it too. It's like it's like, okay, we're just in it now because we have no choice. We're just all in it. So it's like standing on a diving board that you did not realize was as high, nearly as high as it is. But we're at the top now and there's no choice. We have to dive off. And we did. Yeah. So yeah, that was a beautiful first day to see that transition. I want to share one from David Orr, our wonderful, wonderful cinematographer, about Rebecca. He emails me to say, oh, definitely don't forget to mention the day that our first assistant camera got sick. The amazing Austin Hobart. We were filming. I mean, in a lot of ways, one of the climax of the film, which was brother and sister having a really emotional exchange at the top of this sacred space, Oak Flat. So needless to say, it was an incredibly intense day, production-wise and every-wise. You know, it was also one of the more challenging locations that we shot in, really, I guess, you know, throughout the entire experience. And the first assistant camera could not leave his hotel room. And so it was David, the cinematographer, and the whole rest of the camera department, Rebecca Miles. And he absolutely reminded me about the fact that you carried the entire camera department that day. It was unbelievable. You did like 2.5, 3 jobs that day, and it was so incredible to see. That's something that he shared with me, that he is his special memory, and something he's never ever going to forget. And neither will I. I mean, that was really like, no one would ever expect anyone on their first film set to be thrown into that kind of situation and to be able to hold it down like that. But you did. And you didn't just manage it, but you, with grace and ease and, you know, and love. It was really amazing, really amazing. Anybody else special memories?
Yeah,
I have a moment when I first
but
came to the training location at Tree Farm, and just stepping through those doors and seeing the cast and crew, and just a big family coming together and making this film. It's just been an awesome memory. Learning from the instructors, the camera crew, the grip department. It gave me such a knowledge that I can just step out that door with all this opportunities that I have, digest.
That is so cool, Chris. Really, it's a beautiful thing. Can I ask, Chris, how did you first hear about the Film Academy? Do you remember?
I first heard about it was posted on the bulletin board, and it came to mind that I should you know, just becoming a part of this film and go to the location where they're doing the interviews and just signing my name up and like getting that, just being selected, just sitting there inside that cafe. It's memorable moments, and just I started crying. I had tears running down my eyes, and just being in the film academy is just, it's pleasurable moments. I'd like to thank you, Doug Jr. and Senior, Selena, Christian, for giving me this awesome opportunity, and I can just take this and it's like a stepping stone for me.
Absolutely, man. That's what it's all about. That's why it's important, right? That's beautiful. You know, I also want to make sure to put into this this conversation the fact that this was our commitment, like all of us on this call, as well as a lot of people who weren't able to be here today, to like make sure that the community had an opportunity to like learn what was needed to learn to be hired onto the film crew and to work with our great gaffer and cinematographer and all these other folks. But that was honestly, that would just still be an idea if it wasn't for so much support from organizations and individuals who helped to like make it possible through funding. There were an enormous amount of groups, including the Miami Downtown Resurgence, nonprofit, the San Carlos Apache Tribal Council, Apache Gold, Roy Sandoval, and so many additional people who really went out and like got the funds so that we could get the equipment and rent the space and pay the stipends and make this happen. And so anyway, I'm as we're having this beautiful conversation, I'm also really moved by those who listened to this before it was real, you know, when it was just like an idea, and said, yeah, like I see the value in that, and I want to support it, because they saw the beauty that that is this moment right here on this call with this film, and all of us whose lives have been changed by it. So yeah, that's cool. Any more special memories?
I have a couple of moments, but one of them was the first day, the first days of the Film Academy, when the equipment started coming, and when the students came in, and the students seen cameras, and they were in their bags, safe, and started opening it up and showing it to them, and they could not believe that they were going to be putting their hands on these. And of course, all the students were like, okay, so we're going to have to, each one of you is going to have to pick an area. There's camera, there's lighting, there's sound, set production and all that. And I mean, everybody was like, I want to do film. But what the cool thing about it was, like what Ali mentioned, is that everyone started finding their niche. Not everybody was going to work film, but the people that were supposed to be in film actually ended up in film. And the young lady that ended up in sound, Marissa, she said, I'm so glad that I worked in sound. She said, because that's really, that she loved it. I mean, she didn't think she was going to love it. She was like, I want to get behind the camera. And I mean, there, during the process of the academy, everybody got to try out everything so that they would understand each other's jobs and the work that it takes to bring this all together. But and then Giovanni, who was working with the, finding the clothing for the characters, he did such an awesome job. And I mean, they were so, the students just became so their job to themselves. They found that how important their job was, that nobody's job was not as important as somebody else's. They realized that all our jobs are important, and they each stepped up. But I just remember when they first seen the equipment coming in, and they just could not believe that they're working with all this professional equipment, because, you know, a lot of them were just working with their phones, you know, or a small little camera, but to actually seeing these big pieces of equipment, professional equipment coming in, and the excitement in them. And then first day of shooting, when they actually got to help set up and they worked beside professionals, myself watching them again, that was like one of the special moments. And then of course, certain parts of the film were very touching to me. And there was moments when the filming was going on and we were sitting back watching, and we couldn't help but shed quiet tears watching the actors. And I remember those moments too, that there was just so much. And you know, it's taken a long time for us to get to this point where the film is actually coming out, but as we talk about it, you kind of remember those moments, you know, people sitting back and watching Carrie and Keen, you know, the main character, Keen and Allison, talking with one another. And of course, with the passing of our loved Chesley within this month, all of a sudden it becomes even more important that we were able to capture him in film, doing what he does as an artist that he was to the San Carlos people, and that it's living and it's on film, and each Academy student was very blessed to have worked with him and known him as a part of their Apache culture. So that's very important and very touching to me also. We can't forget that.
That's so beautiful, Selena. Yeah, everything you said. Yeah, so beautiful. I want to share mine. One of my favorite moments. There never so many, but I don't know. I feel like this for me might be the one that you know, when I'm 90 years old and most of the memories have like fallen away, that I feel like this might be one of the ones that like it still lingers. Give me 1 second to share this. It's the last day of the Film Academy, so we're all in the Film Academy kind of a workspace, hanging out. Training is almost finished, and production is going to begin in about 2 weeks from this moment. But everybody in this room has like been working like nonstop in their different capacities, exhausted, elated, and beautiful. And my favorite moment is this one. On the last day of the Film Academy, every graduate of the program signed a deal memo, a contract, as a full, complete, equal member of the Apache Leap production, with contract terms and, you know, protections and salary and all of that. The exact same contracts and language that everybody else on the thing signs, no matter if they had been on 2 film sets or 100. And this moment, this experience, honestly, you know, I still get chills thinking about how this moment felt for me, to just like so proud of every single person involved in this project. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Okay. We have one or two more questions, but I believe I've worked out the audio-visual stuff. So I want to replay that 60-second Film Academy video really quick, if that's okay with y'all, just to make sure everybody gets a chance to see it, and then we'll keep it going, and then open it up for some questions.
I feel like this is just a big opportunity.
You don't, even in the news and stuff, you don't hardly ever see indigenous people's voices being heard out there. And I think that's very much needed.
There's a lack of the Native American in films. So yeah, it's freaking crazy important. This is super important.
As days pass, I'm more and more and more interested to get into filming and acting.
Definitely always wanted like a more concrete job. Like I wanted to be a doctor when I was younger, but I don't think that would be as fun as this. Like after doing this is definitely like what I want to do.
What all of us are going to take from here on out is just, you can do anything if you really want to.
Yeah. Okay. Was everybody able to hear that time? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Really brief, but you know, it's a way to sort of capture in 60 seconds a little bit of the spirit of it. I have a big question for participants, and then I want to open it up to questions from everyone else. If other film crews wanted to take a similar approach to their own stories, native, non-native stories, anywhere in the world, what kind of advice or guidance would you give them about trying to approach a community-based film shoot in the way that Apache Leap did? We went through a big journey. We went through a huge journey, all of us. And I feel like it's on some level, now that it's done and the movie's done and all that stuff, like what do we have to contribute to, you know, the understanding of others about what works, what doesn't, and what people should be keeping in mind if they say wanted to make a independent film of their own in their own community, but make it like inclusive.
It takes heart and courage, and I believe, you know, Christian, the first time we met you was through, you know, hearing about you was through Jen Walker, and before that, you've been coming out here to the community, the youth, you know, in Miami High School and San Carlos High School. So you've gotten to know people, you know, you got to see young people and their struggles, you know, growing up, that phase of high school. You know, I remember for myself, it was a very interesting time in my life. But you've gotten to know the youth and your heart, you know, I think by far none is creator, you know, God, you sin, put you here with these young people, and it made an impact, a ripple effect in the community, because then therefore, you know, Jen Walker, a good friend of ours, introduced us. And it's like the domino effect, right? Of, you know, creators saying, well, I'm gonna put this person into your atmosphere. And same with Allie Fredericks, you know, we known her through the struggle and the fight for Oak Flat, and, you know, feeling like a sister. And right away when I met you, Christian, you know, Shema and I believe it was at the steakhouse, right? With Christopher, I believe, here in San Carlos. We hit off, feeling like family right away. You were just like a brother. I was like, wow, we clicked, something clicks. So if something doesn't click, you know, same with like Allie, you know, just feeling that good spirit among people and energy is very important. And you going back to what you were talking about, you know, we believed in you just from your words, like a blank canvas. You know, it's hard for me sometimes, the artist, to say, oh, I see it already on a wall. They're like, what do you see? All I see is a wall. But you took that words, you know, in your heart, and we saw that what you're laying on our kitchen table here, you know, when we had many discussions over it. And then came, you know, Douglas, you know, junior, and then senior, and then Becca, and then, you know, to the Film Academy, you know, where we're going to host this Film Academy came, you know, the Tree Farm, the organization that I was a part of, and opening the doors. And like you were saying, all the important ripple effects of people believing in your work, this script. You know, I remember getting the script and reading it for the first time. I was like, okay, here we go. But I think that says a lot, is going off of your own faith and understanding that you want to do so right by us and our community and our youth. But it wasn't you just coming in here, you know, like brand new. It was you taking the time of bringing yourself and opening up yourself to these young people over the years. And, you know, that says a lot. It says a lot for people when they can count on you. And I know you met awesome people in our community, young people who you can count on, and, you know, our family. That says a lot, and it goes a lot. So I think that's my number one word of advice is, you know, feel it in here and to pray about it. And the right people will come by your side. Mm-hmm.
I think that also in every community, you have young people who are gifted, and some of them are quietly gifted, like Chris, quietly gifted, someone that we didn't know. I didn't know who he was. But then you also have the young gifted who the community knows. They see the gift in them and they see their art. Maybe it's even just graffiti on a wall or spoken word or music, but you know that they're out there. And the thing is that you have to find a place for them where they feel that they can safely give of themselves to the world, to the community, maybe even just a safe place for them to open up their mouth and say, this is me and this is what I do. And I'm proud of who I am. And maybe some of them are not so proud and they're so quietly standing back and don't know what to do with what they feel inside, and there's no place for them to go. But then a film academy idea comes and it opens the door for them. And someone as quiet as Chris can walk in quietly and say, I want to be a part of this. Or the kid that's tagging up the reservation, tagging up his town, walks in and says, hey, I want to be part of what you guys are doing. I think I have a gift. It's something that I've always wanted to do. And it may be someone who wanted to be a doctor. And when she got behind the camera, realized this is what I want to do. But someone has to open that door, someone with a true heart in them to help and to want to be a helpmate to the young people. And that's where community and gifted people and people with certain talents can reach into a community and say, I'm here to help and I'm here to open the door. And that's what you did, Christian, and people that backed you up. And I think that's what communities need.
Yeah, I can share too on that same topic. You know, I love what Carrie said about pray about it. I really do believe that, you know, whoever you meet is not just an individual, they're the product, they're the latest product of a very long ancestral line. And so if you're going into a community, you're making a film, you're engaging in quite a sacred contract with people and their ancestors. And I think that demands a lot of respect. And, you know, me personally, as someone who I'm Peruvian American, I also want to go make a short film in the land of my ancestors who are Quechua people in Peru. And I think about Apache Leap as a model all the time for how you can train people not just to act. Because I think, you know, that's hyped up now in the film world, like these participatory films and non-professional actors. And but the thing of training people for behind the camera is so crucial. And I would, you know, highlight two things that have kind of already been said, but one is the time factor, because I think you just have to appreciate the different timelines and time scales that people are working on. I remember Selena, we organized at the very beginning of the film production, I think the day before production started, a blessing for everyone on the set with an elder. And I had called you and I said, how much time is it going to take? Because we got to know when to serve dinner and stuff. And you just told me, you know, these things, they just don't work like that. They're just not on that time scale. Like it's going to take the time it takes, you know? And so I think, and that's an important part, I think, of decolonizing the filmmaking process, where time is money, and realizing that we have to step away from that framework and kind of reorganize the time scale of a production to be more fitting to what the community needs. So, and then also I think leaving infrastructure behind, and we've seen how Christian has been so dedicated, you know, even from like the equipment that was gotten for the Film Academy and stuff. Like, what are you actually leaving behind, so that after the film leaves, the community is like really resourced up and can continue telling their own stories as they see fit.
To keep playing off of what Steph was just saying about, especially when it comes to rethinking how film is done at the moment and decolonizing film at the moment, because I don't know if how much it's out there on the news and anything, but the film industry is going through very big changes at the moment with safety and how long days are and the intensity of it, where people are wanting to restructure it so that it's more sustainable and not on such a timeline as it is. And I think things like the Film Academy, that sort of structure can start playing into a better model of how filming goes in many different ways, not just by who's participating, but how we can go forward and make the film crew and make the film how we want it. That's safe and healthy for everyone involved. Also with the Film Academy, as it can, I absolutely see that model being replicated in other communities. And kind of the beautiful thing about it, to say if it was redone, I would love to do it again in San Carlos or somewhere near. And now the beautiful thing about it is you don't just have one instructor. You have multiple instructors now, that who have that experience, and they can focus on the specific department that they were and teach the next generation up of Film Academy, so it ripples out in whatever community that you put it in, if you let it.
That's really beautifully put, Allie. And yeah, I too want to do it again. And it's so true. It's like, it's seeds were planted, and amazing things came forth and blossomed from those initial seeds. And if we were to keep watering them, my God, like a whole tree, a whole amazing centuries old tree could grow from it. We've been using the word in this question, in all your beautiful responses about, decolonizing the set. That's of course the name of the panel. I just want to make sure that for anyone who sees the recording of this later, that we know that that is an aspiration and a process. I feel like we were fully committed to a non-exploitative, totally inclusive experience that was organic to the community in which the film was made. And it was still just a start. There are a lot more ways we could get a lot more radical in terms of, and I don't mean us, just us, but like any community in the world who wants to like tell community stories. Like, Stephanie, your anecdote about like timing, for the blessing, because you had so much pressure as a UPM, like, is it 90 minutes or 45? What I need to know. But having to kind of let that go, that's a wonderful moment. Like one day, perhaps we can think about making a film in which the whole shoot could be structured purely around that kind of organic timing, without the pressures of waking up at 7 a.m. and go. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think what's so beautiful about what's happened here is that this is what commitment to that ideal looks like. And if y'all are into it, then I don't know. I feel like maybe we should do it again. I do want to let folks know that also in this call, having come from a very long travel day, are Douglas Miles Sr., who is a lead actor. He plays John Riley in the film, and he's also a producer, casting director. He's the one who connected us with the beloved and deeply missed Chesley Gosayon Wilson. And we also have Douglas Miles Jr. in the car, who is a man of infinite talents and titles. He is an executive producer of Apache Leap, and most of pre-production was me and Doug Jr. in a car every day, just going from one office to another, all in San Carlos and Globe and Miami, putting pieces together. So I just want to give a special shout out to them. They're in a car after having just landed here. They're going to be on the stage tomorrow night for the very first public screening of Apache Leap here at in Columbia, Missouri, which is very exciting. Yes, yes, there they are. Doug and Doug Jr., do you guys want to say a word?
Yes, can everyone hear me? It's good to be here. I'm really proud and happy to be a part of this production. And I just posted on Facebook. I mean, currently right now, there is a big surge in Native American film and television productions right now happening. They've just come out. But interestingly enough, Apache Leap was ahead of the curve in 2018, 19, and 2020. I'm almost sure that directly and indirectly that we may have had an influence on that.
Yeah.
Just simply through the power of the internet, simply through the power of social media. The content and the behind the scenes photos that we released were so good. The production stills that Doug Jr. took and put out were so on point. I think it drew people in. And I think as we do more screenings, more and more people are going to want to see really a production that kind of kicked off the Native American film and television surge. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
That's beautiful, man. I'm so glad y'all are on this call. Doug Jr., do you want to say a word?
Yeah, just I agree with him, and I just very proud of you guys. I was looking at all the photos and the videos and going through all of the content. It's all amazing, and you guys did a really good job. I'm proud of everyone.
Yeah, right on. Right on. Wow, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. It is so good to be with you all. Apache Leap is officially in the world now, which is such a blessing. It's a beautiful thing, and is totally due to the dedication and love and commitment of every single one of you and all of our families and all of the other people who weren't able to join us on the Zoom today, but who were behind us and behind this film all the way. I love that photo. Yeah. I got you, man. That's beautiful. Yeah. That was the taco stand scene. What do I want to say? I did want to mention that Apache Leap is coming to you, to us, to San Carlos, November 19th and 20th. There's going to be a ton of information coming out. We have yet to like really fully announce that publicly yet, but we're going to be playing at the Hollis Cinema on November 19th. It's going to be our kind of red carpet casting crew premiere. And then November 20th is going to be a huge, wide open community screening where we can seat as many people as want to come see it. It'll be on a Saturday afternoon, November 20th. And I think it's a 1,400 seat theater. And so we can just pack that place and celebrate all of your hard work. With that, I would love to open it up if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask us or comments that they would like to make. This is the moment.
I have a question. and I think it already has been answered. How are you doing, Kristen?
Oh, Gerald, it has been such a pleasure seeing you this entire evening. I miss you very much. Gerald Ivory, everybody, is just an incredible human being and an incredible filmmaker who is largely responsible for the film, among many other things, but is the engine behind the film Colors that starred Sean Penn and was it Gene Hackman?
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall, how could I forget? Yeah, yeah. I'm doing well, man. Now that the film is out, I'm doing well, and especially seeing you. Thank you for being here.
Well, my question to the group and crew, which some of you have touched on, particularly Selena.
Angie's husband.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, my question was, what was it about Kristen that gave you guys faith? I know what it was for me, because he's worked on a project with me. And his talent and skill, I mean, you just can't get around it. But what was it about Kristen? And some of you said a few things, but I just want to hear it again.
When I first met Christian, we had set up a meeting to meet here in San Carlos, and there was a small little hamburger joint that we met in. And I'm telling you, the first time I seen him, he just walked in, and he had that smile that we all know now. I could just tell he was very open, and the humility that he showed as he was talking about what he wanted to do. And he said, I want to include the Apache people because this is your story, is what he said. This is your story. And I think just conversating with him in those 2 hours was like, I know this is a man that I want to work with, and I know that he'll do good and that he'll be respectful and he'll be honorable towards the culture and the people of San Carlos.
I might want to add, years ago, Kristen had come to our home and had shared some footage that he was had put together on indigenous people. I forgot whether it was in Arizona, New Mexico, whatever. I mean, this was years ago. And as some of you had said, he's done the work. I mean, he has the background. So to see what he's doing now is no surprise. And I applaud you all for what you've accomplished.
Thank you, Gerald. Yeah, it is a broad community affair, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I say that I teach a directing course at University of Missouri, and I share this with my students a lot, but way more importantly, I would share this with anybody else who is trying to take a filmmaking approach anywhere similar to this in a community. My strong suggestion to them would be to open up your hands and let go of the reins of ownership, or this sense of like it's about me, or this is my movie, or any of the the only way that a really radically inclusive production can happen is if it's owned by everybody involved. And I mean that like financially, creatively, materially, in every way that like people understand that every single person on the set like is getting something for themselves every day that they show up, and like the success of the movie when it comes out is their success. Like that's real talk, you know. And I'm just a member of the crew too, you know what I mean? That's really it's like if a film is a baby, and many people like to describe it that way, I feel like a baby is safer if the one person who thinks it's theirs throws it up into the air and lets 100 hands catch it, right? Lets an entire community like raise up their arms and hold it. That's a heck of a lot more stable and safer and better than just one person like clutching it like that. That's, yeah, I feel like that's part of it. Are there any more questions or comments or just thoughts in general about this risky, wild, radical experience that we had in the world of community filmmaking?
Can I say something again?
Yeah, sure.
It's so important what you're doing, that people in front of the camera and behind the camera are telling the story, okay? Early on, my experience, when they come to tell the story, they tell their story, not our story. And it turns into something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some of you have touched on it, and it's so true. And that's an ongoing battle whenever you have people of color involved. I was told in the making of Colors, yes, it's about a plight of young Black people in neighborhoods and whatever, and what they go through in the gangs and the whole bit, but we need 2 white tour guides.
Right.
That's what was told to me. And so it became about 2 white police officers rather than a serious issue in the community. And so we, as people of color, growing up in Oklahoma and having indigenous history in my background and not taught by how it's taught today, trust me, you get a feeling of what's going on and how it should be done.
Yeah.
And so when you, as an elder, Selena, bring along the young people, you impart that history, and at the same time, they take ownership of those stories and they're passed on appropriately. I just want to share that.
That's beautifully put. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you. Yeah. Rebecca, do you want to chime in? I always get the feeling like you're ready to say something, but
I could talk forever about this project and the Academy. What was I going to say? I did want to say thank you though earlier for David sharing that memory. Because I got disconnected earlier, but that was hard and like terrifying when Austin wasn't going to be there. And like, I think it just shows like, you know, all of us took like a really big like chance making this, and like I don't know, it's just like really, it's a really beautiful thing how everything turned out and how everybody like figured out what they were good at, and like it's a beautiful thing to see. And I think you should do another one. I think that's what you guys are talking about. Like I know I'm still friends with a lot of the people that were involved, and I think most of us agree that it was definitely like life-changing and just beautiful.
let's make it happen then. Let's just do it. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for being who you are, for all of your love and commitment to art, to community, and to like doing right by each other and yourselves. You've got a lot to be proud of. And I know that for all of the Arizona-based folks, I am so excited to be with you in person soon, in a movie theater seat to watch what we did. That's going to be really amazing, and you deserve it. Want to give a special shout out also to the Portland Film Festival. They have been so amazing and so supportive of us and our film. Thank you to Portland Film Fest for everything you're doing for us and all of the other films and filmmakers, and for hosting this important panel. We really appreciate it. All right, everybody. We'll see you again soon, huh? Okay. Bye. Bye.
Christian, thank you very much.